Well, hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Pixar Post Podcast. This is TJ.
And Julie.
And we are very excited to take this next step in the evolution of our website and communicating with our readers. So the very first thing we wanted to discuss is just a little bit more of an introduction to us and how we got into the Pixar arena, why we started the website.
How Pixar is in our lives.
There you go. That's a better way to say it. So it's one of the very first things that we did, our very first movie date in 99 was we went and saw
Toy Story 2.
Yeah, and after we saw it, we were just absolutely so in love with it. And it had ever since then, it really was a part of our lives. And it seemed like it intersected so many times. No matter what we did, we were either buying something Pixar for each other, we were either going to see a Pixar movie, we were discussing something Pixar. So
we were really big into animation.
Yeah, we're big into animation in the first place, and you were always a big Disney fan because you guys were a Disney family to begin with.
Yep. And
went to the parks multiple times a year for most of your youth, not even living in Florida. You lived in Virginia. But regardless, so it's just been one of those things that was a natural progression. And when we got to physically starting the website, I have to, like usual, I have to give the credit to Julie that it was her idea to take that leap and want to start it. So she came to me one day, and I remember in our relationship, I'm more of the realist.
And I am the dreamer.
And she's the dreamer, absolutely. So what we wanted to do, or what she came to me and said was, hey, I want to start a Pixar blog. And now you don't know Julie as well as I do, but a lot of times when she comes up with these ideas, there are these far-fetched things that she always wants to do.
They're grandiose ideas.
Yeah, she wants to do a lot of things. So when she said this, I kind of said no right off the bat. Well, I didn't say no. I was just like, well, how are you going to do it?
Yeah, well, TJ needs a plan. He needs a plan of action. Like, how are you going to do this? I need like a timeline and very structured, where I'm just kind of like, fly by the seat of my pants, let's go, I want to do this, let's make it happen.
Yeah, and I wanted to step back a little bit more from this because I know with the website, it was going to involve me whether I liked it or not, because I'm more of the technical aspect, so I was going to have to set it up, buy the domain name, take pictures of it, of all the different things that we were going to do. So I knew I was going to be involved with it at some level, so I wanted a plan to know how I was going to be involved and how she was going to be involved. So the very first idea, and one of the reasons why we're bringing this up, Julie originally didn't want to talk about this.
Oh, no, it's so embarrassing looking back on it now.
Well, and I'm sure it'll be embarrassing when we eventually look back at, like even our beginning posts.
Yes.
And originally this first podcast, I'm sure we'll look back on it and go, what the heck were we doing? But regardless, the very first idea that she came to me with is she was discussing what she wanted the website to be named. And with all of the attention that was being surrounded about Brave and the upcoming... Because
this is before the release of Brave. This was back in, I would say, December of 2011 to January 2012 when I came up with the idea.
Right, and so the first idea she said was, I want it to be PixarPrincess.com.
Oh, it sounds so bad now when you say it.
Well, we decided that...
Well, first off, it was Pixar Princess because, first off, it's so embarrassing to keep saying it, but... there's no female blogger, Pixar blogger out there. Most of the blogs are male-driven, which is great. It's fine. TJ's obviously a part of this blog, but I just thought because with Brave, and she was the first, she wasn't the first Pixar princess because Princess Ada, but for some reason, maybe it's the Disney connection with me, but Pixar Princess, I fell in love with it, and it was hard for me to let go, but looking back on it, wow. It's just embarrassing.
Yeah, well, the way Pixar says it, and how I told her when we were talking about this, our show notes and what we were going to include and not, is I said, listen, Pixar says there's a lot of embarrassing ideas, and they talk about this on a lot of the director's commentaries. There's a lot of embarrassing ideas and cliche ideas and things like that come out of, initial discussions on development. But I can't remember exactly which director it was. It might be either Lee Unkrich or Pete Docter that said, it doesn't matter if it's a cliche or typical, write it down on the piece of paper so that way you just get it out of the way. So I wanted to at least talk about it because everything, whether it be a Pixar movie or the development of this website, goes through a development process that will have some bad ideas. But those bad ideas, and this is another direct quote from somebody that I'm not remembering off the top of my head, which is great, but that the bad ideas are fuel for good ideas. Mm-hmm. So regardless, how we eventually got to Pixar Post, Julie came up with that idea. She said, well, you know what? Let's think about it like...
what delivers news? So I was thinking post, like postcards. And then I fell in love with the idea of the postage stamp. So I really wanted Luxo to be a part of that. And then on postage stamps, I was thinking more of like the old school postage stamps when you actually had to like lick them and put them on an envelope. They usually had the price of it. So I thought the A113 could be on there somehow. And that is how we came up with the new logo.
Yeah. So then, then it was an adventure of how we're going to pull this thing together. And in fact, we are in the process of, looking at our logo right now, and we're actually going to be considering revamping it a little bit. So our 1 year anniversary is coming up in March because we started our site on, I believe, March 22nd of 2011. Mm-hmm. And we're looking to redo that as kind of a 1 year kind of kickoff. It'll still have the same feel and flavor, but keep an eye out for it, and that'll be what's coming. So moving forward, one of the things that we also wanted to talk about, and typically, obviously, these episodes will not be as bantery. We'll kind of get to some of the news and the topics a little bit more. It won't be as much discussion about just us. But for this first episode, we wanted to introduce everybody and kind of get through some of that initial information, just to inform our readers. Because one of the things we have heard from our readers feedback-wise is they really like the fact that we are...
personal.
Very personal. We're a team. We're a husband and wife team, and we really have this passion for Pixar together, and we're working on this together. How nice that is. So we wanted to do that just first. So our expectations for the podcast, though, and we'll see where this takes us. At this point, these are just expectations and initial plans. Like any initial plan, it usually has tweaks, valleys, and bumps in the road that may happen along the way. But what we want to discuss is recent news reviews. So we want to talk about, not only what we've blogged about, but expand upon some of those topics each week. We want to provide additional review insights that we may have not gotten to necessarily for our blog, but that we want to dig into a little bit deeper. We want to talk about additional background on some of our custom art, and we're going to do that today with our Making of the PartySaurus Rex video. We want to potentially have a section, and we're looking to develop this for moments in Pixar history, big things that have happened in their history that we can discuss with you. And, we're also going to have a section on there that talks about what we are going to be working on or planning, if we have those plans in place already, for the upcoming week on our website, so that way you can know what to expect and see online. This week's big news discussion started last Sunday on January 13th, 2013, when Brave took home the Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature. Mm-hmm. And Julie is absolutely psyched about that because she's a huge Brave fan. We're both big Brave fans, but she saw the movie 7 times
in the theater.
Right.
I loved it.
Yeah, and it definitely, all the praise is deserved, and kudos to the team, to Mark Andrews and the team. Well, one of the other things that was revealed backstage when Mark was doing a Q&A session with the press at the Golden Globes is that he is actually in the development process of creating a new full-length feature film for Pixar. So we were actually very excited to hear that. Mm-hmm. And in hearing Mark say that, we were also reminded that in a previous interview in December, Brian Larson, who was the story supervisor on Brave, as well as the director of the Legend of Mordu short that was on the DVD, he also revealed in an interview earlier in December, like I mentioned, that he is working with Mark Andrews on that. So now we know at least 2 of the people that are starting the development process. It's very early on. They're still just working on it, but it's very exciting.
Yeah, that it's the Brave team that's, or at least some members of that Brave crew that are collaborating. It's going to be awesome.
Right. Yeah. And one of the second news that we had talked about during the week is the Rainy City Tales 332 or 332 website. They have been putting out a series, and that was obviously recently announced, that it was the upcoming Pixar short that's going to be in front of Monsters University.
Yep.
that'll be releasing in June of 2013 for North America. And it will also be premiering at the Berlin Film Festival on February 17th. So that's something just to keep in mind. But the blue umbrella, the tale of the umbrella, the blue umbrella that sees a red umbrella and falls in love with her, but has to chase after this umbrella, her or him. We actually don't know who is who. We can assume.
Yes, you can.
Actually, the red umbrella has eyelashes. Yes. So, but one of the things that they put on that Rainy City Tales website that we've been putting reviews or summary clips on our website of as well is they're putting making of and kind of homegrown back scenes of what's going on behind the scenes. That's what I'm trying to say there. So one of the things that they discussed about, they had a video of a dailies review, and dailies are the every day the crew will get together, or the pertinent people will get together in a screening room and look at the shots and determine, what needs to be done on them, what work has been done the previous day, what can be changed, tweaked,
reviews
edited.
And critiques.
Absolutely. So there was a daily review of one of the clips about talking about the rain and what they could do to it. Very interesting. So, I mean, there's several other ones. There's an animation walkthrough. There's a Foley session where they're recording audio of umbrellas bouncing around. They show actually the microphone setup that was used to create that. But why we're bringing it up specifically is obviously just for general interest for people that are into animation or into Pixar.
And just behind the scenes. If you like behind the scenes, footage or knowledge, I mean, it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely great. And one of the things that they mention on the website is that it's a little more of a personal feedback this time, because it's just recorded with the director's telephone rather than being an official making of where they bring in a crew and do those kind of things. So it's just short clips. But the thing I was also going to say is that it's great for people that are looking to get into the animation industry, because I mean, you're seeing all these behind-the-scene things. In the microphone setup, they're showing the mixing board, or not the mixing board, but the amp that's receiving all the signals, and they're going through and they show how the microphones are there, the different types of microphones. It's really interesting. And one other quick note, just as a fun fact, in the Foley session with the umbrellas, where they're recording the sounds of the umbrellas, there is an up umbrella, which is pretty cool, because the top of it is all like a light blue, has the up logo, but the underside of it, which makes total sense, is all umbrellas, balloons. So it would be as if they're like lifting the umbrella up like the house. So it's
a pretty sweet umbrella.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next thing that we want to discuss was our making of PartySaurus Rex video. So why did we even make this video? The reason we made it is because we had some questions. We've had people from our readers that have asked us, how did we do it? We've had other people say, can I buy one from you? And, so we decided that we would pull this together, that it would help out not only with our readers being able to see that process, but just show some more of the fun that we had in the creation of them and, that process. So to start off, the equipment that we used for it, just to give people a little bit of background there, was we used a Nikon D800 and shot it actually in 720p. You may not need all that information, but we didn't shoot it in 1080 only because we wanted to keep the file size a little bit lower. I shot some of the clips in 60 frames per second, and then reduced it in iMovie when we edited it up. But
it took about a week and a half to film the whole thing, because creating a custom PartySaurus Rex is a bit of a challenge. The first Rex that I made back in August of 2012 is completely different from this movie accurate version that I make now. So it takes a lot longer with his loofah collar and all the custom bead necklaces that are involved, which you can see in the video.
Yeah, and
the hair. The hair is much more. It's much more care that goes into the hair and the Viking hat than my first Rex that I made.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. The first rendition is not usually the best. It took... This is how many Rex toys have you made at this point?
7, I believe.
Is it that many?
6 or 7, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, we've obviously, for some of our readers, they've seen that Mark has received one. Mark Walsh, the director of PartySaurus Rex, he has received one. And we've made several versions the one we originally made that we were taking the Follow Rex pictures on. We made a second one that was introduced to BT when we went and saw him in concert. and then the third is
the third one I kept,
and then the fourth
went to Mark.
We've made a couple more in the meantime. So yeah, it's interesting, and those are actually surprises for some others that are going to be receiving those as well. So it's great that they're going to be moving forward there. What else are we thinking about for the PartySaurus Rex video? Do we want to? Do we have any other comments from readers or anything like that we should think about?
No, just that I appreciate all the nice comments from everyone asking if they could purchase one. Unfortunately, we're not selling them, but it makes me feel great that you think that I did such a good job that you would want to buy it. So thank you. Yeah.
It is very nice, and we do love all the feedback and comments that we get from our readers.
That was one of my dreams that was a grandiose dream of mine.
Oh, that's right. We should talk about that. So the Rex, Julie saw the clip of PartySaurus Rex when it first launched, and she decided that this is going to be something that she wants to do. She wants to make this PartySaurus Rex.
Well, Rex is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the Pixar franchise of characters, he's one of my favorite. And when I heard that it was going to be a PartySaurus, kind of like a rave theme, way back in the 90s, back when I was in high school, the rave scene was pretty big. And I used to wear what Rex wears as necklaces, but just bracelets up to my elbows when TJ and I first met and first started dating. So I felt that PartySaurus Rex was just like, it was like a calling that I had to make him. Like I just bonded with this whole idea of PartySaurus Rex.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was drawn to it too. I've always been into, what it used to be called as techno. Now it's leaning more towards electronic dance music and those types of titles. But it was something that we've always both connected with, was not only Toy Story because of our first date, Rex because he's just such a great, lovable character, but then the music element of it and the fun of bath time. I mean, it all just clicked with us, obviously, from our readers know that. So she comes to me, she's like, I want to make this toy. And I'm like, well, how the heck are you going to do that?
Yes. Well, I came up with the idea actually driving home from work, and it hit me like a bolt of freaking lightning. And I came home and I was like, honey, I said, I'm going to make PartySaurus Rex. And TJ looked at me like, how are you going to do that? And I'm like, I'm going to Toys R Us tonight.
Right. She went out that night, bought everything.
Yeah, I got home at like 7 o'clock at night. We ate dinner. 8:30, I was at Toys R Us.
Right. Bought Rex, went into a craft store, got some other things, got the
found as many beads as I could find.
The clay for the hair, everything. I mean, she came home and she started working on it that night. It was crazy. But she had this feeling and wanted to go with it. And so what we actually started to do after that, after it was made, because she came upstairs after it was done, I think it was it the next day that it was completed? Yeah, so it was completed the next day. She comes upstairs with it, shows it to me, and I said, holy cow, that is actually much, much better than what I envisioned it could be. So I don't remember who came up with the idea that we should start taking pictures of him and taking him around town. Do you?
Well, I wanted to take him around town and just take pictures, but TJ actually came up with the hashtag #FollowRex.
Right. So I was like, well, how can we kind of make this more of a marketing kind of thing? Not a marketing, but just so that way
so everyone could follow him.
Our followers, our readers of our website could follow along, and they would have a way to do that. So yeah, I was like, I think we should come up with it and maybe just call it Follow Rex. It'd be kind of fun. And then it just went from there, and obviously everything just spawned from there and went crazy when we were doing all these odd
and
scenarios.
It was such a blast. I mean, those few months that we were doing the Follow Rex was, awesome.
Oh, it was a blast. Yeah. And going back to and jumping on the blue umbrella, what we forgot to mention as well is that we are planning on doing some fun marketing and background stuff for our readers on that.
Yes.
We've already
we're in the process of doing something fun. We'll just say a surprise, fun thing.
Yeah, and just say if
remember, I'm a dreamer.
If you've seen it on our website, you've seen that we teased a picture that we posted out there as well, and I will put that in.
It was on Instagram.
It was on Instagram.
It didn't go into our website. We put it on Instagram.
Okay, yep, it was on Instagram. I think it linked through to Twitter as well. So what we'll do is in the show notes for this on our website, we'll post that photo as well so you can see that. So we're going to be teasing and doing some fun things with the blue umbrella as well. The next big news event that happened this week was the Disney Infinity game launch, which happened on January 15th of 2013, and we were live blogging the event details. The event itself, the game itself, is a huge anticipation in the gaming world. The traffic that was happening on Twitter for the Disney Infinity tag was amazing. I mean,
it was trending within, I think, 2 or maybe between 2 to 5 minutes.
Right. So it's going to be a big launch for Disney. And at the event, it had several speakers that were there. It was John Pleasance, who's the co-president of Disney Interactive, John Lasseter, who we know very well, and John Blackburn, who's the studio vice president and general manager of Avalanche Software. The game itself, just a very high overview of it. It's been described to us as similar to Skylanders, if you're familiar with that game, where you'll buy a starter pack. It'll come with some characters as well as a pad that you will plug into your gaming system. When you place the physical toy character on the pad, it will allow you to play as that character in the world of that character. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, the characters that are going to be coming out at launch are going to be Mike and Sully from Monsters University. Yes, you'll be playing in the Monsters University world. And then also the second set of Pixar-related characters that will be coming out at launch will be the Incredibles family along with Syndrome. The game itself, you'll be able to see some highlights and screenshots and the full press release details as well as the trailer on our website. It just looks pretty exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. I mean, my goodness, if they come out with as many characters that are on their press photo, I mean, the playtime is endless. I mean,
right. Yeah, you can build your own worlds.
Yeah.
The Freeform toy box is the one that really kind of intrigues me the most. The fact that you can not only create the roadways that you walk or drive on, but the castles that are there.
The sky, you can change the sky to, something completely different.
Right, and then you can use, as you would, when we were talking about it after the launch, you were like, how cool is that you can put Buzz Lightyear's jetpack on Mr. Incredible and fly around?
Yeah.
So it just seems kind of cool. And John Lasseter kind of talked specifically about that the game allows so much creativity, and creativity is king. And he was talking about in his portion of the speech that, he grew up in a family with his mom being an art teacher, and, it really just supported this great creative culture. And he likes the fact that that culture can continue on in a game where it doesn't have any limits or limitations. You can create anything you want out of it.
For sure.
And it's really neat. So, stay tuned to our site. We're going to have many more details as that gets closer to launch. And, hopefully we'll get to the point where we have a game review and all those types of things. Fantastic. So the next thing that we did this week, and was a lot of fun, was we did some fan art of Drips, which is the whale that covers the downspout of the bathtub from PartySaurus Rex. And I kind of had the itch to sketch one night and this week, and Julie came in, and I was like, well, what can I draw? And we were looking around the room and came across, some of the toys we have in here. Of course, our house is full of toys.
Of course.
And saw the Drips character, and I absolutely love that character. And Mark Walsh, the director, again, does the voice for that character. We could turn the water on all the time, on ourselves all the time. Yeah, that's as good as I can do right there. But, so I had recently received
yes.
a drawing tablet that I plugged into my computer, that you can plug into the computer and draw that way. And obviously it's a little bit of a change from a traditional paper and pencil method, but it's a lot of fun to continue down that road. And I'm sure, for anybody that's either in animation or familiar with animation, that's already what they've been using. But for myself, I had never gone into that arena. Right. I had drawn on the iPad, but it was really fun. And the one thing that I really got to play around with a lot was the different brushes and how to meld the colors together, putting different paints on and then blending and doing all those kind of things. It was a lot of fun. And I like, when Julie came into the room, she's like, wow, it's just so much fun. It
is fun. It's like I look at him and I just smile.
Yeah.
Like it's a feel-good picture.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun doing that. So hopefully, if there's any particular fan art that any of our listeners and or readers would like us to potentially do, we're more than willing to listen to any suggestions. Or if you have a particular fan art that you're really proud of, share it with us.
Yeah.
Who knows where that may take us. Maybe we'll eventually have an expanded section on our site. But for now, if you have any fan art that you've done, we're more than willing to take a look at it. And,
And we also hope that our fan art inspires you to create your own art.
Absolutely.
Maybe looking at it and be like, why don't I try that?
Right, and that's kind of, the bottom line is we were inspired by Pixar, so if we can inspire anybody or just, open a community where we can discuss the fan art a little bit more, that's always a fun thing.
Definitely.
The next post that we did this week, and we were pretty excited about it, was a review of the Watched Animation List Tracker, or WALT for short, which is an iPhone app that allows you to track the feature films as well as the short films that you have seen, not only of Pixar, but of Disney films as well. And it's a really neat application that was created by James Dempsey of Tapas Software, and we did an interview with him as well as reviewed the application. James is a real laid-back guy that gave us some really interesting comments and insights into the application, and he's really open to how the app can evolve. I mean, he's still in version 1 scenario of the app overall. It's a 1.1 or something like that at this point. But we're kind of using the app as a fun excuse to rewatch all of our favorite Pixar films, because rather than just get the app, open it up, and just check them all. For the Pixar standpoint, I haven't seen all of the Disney shorts and films throughout all the years, but we're using it as an excuse to rewatch them all. Plus, the other thing that's really neat about it that we really enjoyed from the app is that it has the actual, and it doesn't seem like this should be much of a big deal, but it is for us. We often have little debates where we talk about, what was the release date of that particular film, and not just the year, what was the particular date. The app shows you when you click on either the film or the short, the actual release date itself that it was in theaters officially. It has lots of sort options that you can sort by the decades. You can sort, or actually you can view them by decades. You can sort by oldest, newest. You can do all of your watched or unwatched films that you haven't checked off. It's a pretty neat little gadget and toy if you want just another way to keep track of the Disney movies that you have seen. And from James's comments, if you look at the app now, it certainly is going to evolve over time. So if you get it in the store now, you'll be able to grow with the app and some of the new changes that he's planning on implementing. So it was a fun little thing just that we were able to do that review, and we were happy to take a look at the app. So one of the things that we want to do on a more regular basis as well is talk about the top 3 hits or posts on our website for the week. So as you could imagine, since we were live... High traffic. Yeah, that's a way to say it. One of the things that we were obviously happy to see is since we were live blogging the event of the Disney Infinity event, that was our number 1 for this week. We had very high traffic on that. We had people from all over the world that were looking at our site, and that's to be expected because it was a live event, big event. But the one that kind of threw us for a loop this week was all of a sudden, and we don't even know why or how. We've looked at stats, but it doesn't show everything. Is the hidden items that are in Brave that we found in Brave, and that's the reference to A113. As well as the Pixar ball, or the Luxo Junior ball, however you want to...
And this was a post you actually did back in November while I was vacationing at Disney World.
Right, and it was one of those things where, there'd been a lot of discussions. We had seen, obviously, the footage that Pixar had officially released of the Pizza Planet truck.
And Sully.
And Sully that was carved on one of the logs on the floor of the witch's cottage. But what we had done is pieced together... from tips from other animators, things that people have said on interviews and Twitter, and in fact some our readers come through, reader comments that they had stepped in and said, hey, I saw this interview, so-and-so said that it might be here. So the one that we were tipped off to was that the A113 was above the door frame of the witch's cottage, and when we had heard that, I had gone through previously trying to look for it in the witch's cottage because I had heard that it might be in there. In fact, that all of the items, the hidden items, might be located in one area, was one lead that we were going off of. And I didn't see it. And the reason I didn't see it is because, number 1, it's faint, of course. Number 2, it's in Roman numerals. Number 3, it's only in the scene at one moment where Merida's backing out of the door with the knives coming towards her. We were really... we were tipped off that it was around the door, and that was from a reader that had told us that. So going off of that, I had to assume that the Pixar ball was in there as well somewhere. So I went frame by frame and, put it in the old DVD player and just hit next until I eventually saw something that I thought resembled it. I flipped out.
Yes.
I freaked out. I emailed Julie. I was texting her. I called her. I was like, oh my God, I think I found it.
Yes, I believe I was at Hollywood Studios when I was getting a plethora of texts saying, oh my goodness, I found the Pixar Ball and Brave.
Right. So we were actually very excited that we were the blog that, that found and put out the official screenshot of the A113. Our readers, gave us some tips that they had seen in interviews, but then finding it, taking the screenshots, posting it, it was great for us. But all of a sudden,
this week,
it really took off.
Yeah.
And to make it the top post that we've done this week was pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. The third post that was in the list this week was, of course, how we made the PartySaurus Rex custom toy, the video that we pulled together.
Right.
So that was,
which makes me feel good.
Yeah, obviously Julie was happy about that, and I am too. We put, not only a lot of work into the Rex, there's a lot of details that when I was even filming it, I didn't necessarily know that Julie had put into the Rex, because I don't hover over her when she's working on her things, and she doesn't hover over me when I'm working on mine. So there were things that I noticed in there. So it was good for us, and fun for us to put that out there and show that with everybody. And the final topic we wanted to discuss today was what we're working on. So we want to give our listeners a high-level overview of what the blog posts that'll be on PixarPost.com for the upcoming week may be, to give you a little bit of a teaser. So one of the things that Julie's working on this week is she's doing the director's commentary review for
A Bug's Life.
Right, and we're going to be excited about that. And obviously, if you've seen any of our other director's commentary reviews, we have a very detailed write-up of those comments with direct quotes, as well as we will incorporate screenshots of the moments that are going to be highlighting in the text. Mm-hmm. And in episode 2 of our podcast, we'll also incorporate the high-level, even more high-level, big aha moments that we pulled from that from the review. Mm-hmm. The second thing that I'm pretty excited to announce is that we found a way to do video reviews of iPod, iPhone, and iPad media. So not too long ago, we did a review of the Monsters Incorporated Run, or Monsters Run game that was recently announced for the iPad and iPhone and iPod and all those other iDevices. But we had just taken screenshots of it, and now we're going to be able to incorporate video and movie reviews of those as well. So we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. And then so we'll be doing another, if I don't update for an additional game, I'll be updating the Monsters Run game with some video there. Well, as we sign off from our first episode of our podcast, we just want to say thank you to our listeners, thank you to our readers of our PixarPost.com website, and all the great feedback and comments that we've received since we've began last March. As the podcast continues to change and grow, we're looking to expand into different areas and do more fun things to entertain you. But if you come across anything that you feel like you want to pass on to us, much like we've changed our website over time and adapted to help out our readers, if there's anything that you want to hear or listen to, we are more than willing to discuss that. So shoot us an email at info@pixarpost.com, and we'll go from there. So signing off from our first episode again, this is TJ
and Julie
from PixarPost.com, and thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.